نهاية السباق نعود من جديد إلى تحليل ما حدث.
Tarmac tastes like dusty, I understand. Took a couple of stages last year as well. The Turks are there in the Dutch national jersey as well. And a team buoyant, full of confidence at the moment. Wilfred Peters says that they are here to think about victory. Well, more than that, they've got a habit of doing just that. Tom Bonan, of course, 4 times a winner, but away with an elbow injury this time. Sky Pro Cycling are here, so is Radio Shack Leopard, as you can see here. Fabian Cancellara, yes, a huge presence and always comes out fighting in the spring. This for him, kind of a preparation event for back in Europe, you might think, but, well, he'll take the victory if he can possibly get it. Stuyvesant, Tony Gallopin as well, part of this Radio Shack Leopard team that really, really mean business. Yes, Hayden Rulston there you saw, giving us a broad smile. And what about Sky? Yes, they're here. Edvald Boasson-Hagen is the team principal, but with the likes of Gerard Thomas, Ian Stannard, the British champion, Bernie Eisel, who always goes quick, Matt Heyman, Gabby Rash and Luke Rowe. This is a proper team. Yes, they are thinking very much about the classics, but watch for the team time trial tomorrow. They could well be absolutely dominant, and it might suit today a very strong man like Edvald Boasson-Hagen, who also happens to be very quick. There he is. You just saw Ian Stannard a few moments ago, the British champion. The Norwegian flag across the torso of Boasson-Hagen. Never count him out. The BMC racing team also here. Taylor Finney has come out of the box very, very quickly. These pictures from a little bit earlier on today, and Taylor taking the first intermediate sprint of the day. There are time bonuses, let's not forget, and we'll be handing over fairly shortly to Matt Rendell, who is on course to guide us through the day. Daniele Bernati, team principal for Saxo Tinkoff. There's the deep pockets of Tinkoff Bank helping out this Danish team here, and helping out Bernati will be Maddie Breschel, Cantwell, Jorgensen, Kroonkrump, Lund and Matteo Tossato, who's always one to watch. Team I Am, yes, one of the newer teams for you. Heinrich Hausler is the man who will be heading this team, wearing number 71. He's got some real backup here as well. Christophe Correa is here, Sebastian Eno likewise, and Marco Bandiera, the Italian. It's a new strip for you, but nice and modest. And who is the big I Am? Well, I guess we'll find out at the end of the day. So, the Qatar Cultural Village, our opening point today, and that's where all this signing was going on. Team Argos Shimano, familiar very pale jersey for you to feast your eyes upon yet again. John Degenkolb, if you can just stop that head nodding up and down, he may well go a little bit quicker, but he's a strong man. And Tom Velers is here as well. This essentially is a German and Dutch outfit, although Luka Marzec of Slovenia will probably argue with that. On the World Tour, Team Argos Shimano, and very quick, but are they top draw? Well, Orica Green Edge most certainly are. They've got Baden Cook, they've got Alan Davis as well. Aldis Kropis is the man from Lithuania who is wearing number 111 here. And there you see Fumiyaki Beppu, Mr. Escapee. Watch him if the wind just does hold up a little bit, or indeed if it doesn't, he will certainly be out there. Staying in the east then, the Japanese national team, and in fact we were flagged off today by the head of the Japanese Cycling Federation. They've already been busy with the Japan Cup and Okinawa as well under their belts, and number 147 there, Selig, the German, for the Katusha team. A team that's been battered and bruised of late, still, you know, with question marks about what level they will participate in, but certainly here at the highest. Alexander Kristoff and Pavel Brut will be gunning for the horizon. Likewise, Cannondale. Yes, no more a Liquigas Cannondale team, but keeping the lime green anyway, just to sort of rest that in our minds, if you like. And Elia Viviani. Yes, is here. Coppi Bartoli took a stage in that, and US Pro Challenge, a couple of stages as well for him a couple of years ago. The Italian, well, he can punch here hard in the wind. Astana Pro, well, they've got a couple of world champions in their midst. The Borut Bozic of Slovenia and the Ukrainian champion Andrei Grivko also signing on here. Andrea Gardini is, of course, the man that everyone here has gives a great deal of respect to, but they've got firepower in abundance, I think you might say. And with the likes of the workhorse that is Dmitry Muravyev, yes, they can battle against the wind and offer protection, and that's what they're going to need today. So the wind blowing up, I can tell you that it has already had a huge impact. And if you just look at the sleeves of the young man who's busy taking photographs, yes, it means that today is going to be that windy challenge that we always expect when we come to Qatar. So then, no, don't use the tie, use the flag. A little bit of humour there from our Japanese Federation guests, along, of course, with the great Eddie Maux, who is such a great part of this event, which has been running since 2002, helping hand from him throughout. It's very much established as a major part of the early calendar, and riders come here not just to get their legs in, but also to test out the new competition and just see how the shuffled teams are starting to settle down. You just caught sight of Team NetApp Enduro with Roger Kluger and Russell Downing, who will be featuring for them today. So the rollout, yes, nice and calm, but anything but by the time we got onto the road. Well, we've given you the opening sprint winner. I've got to tell you that it was Taylor Phinney just edging out and taking most of the seconds there. Alexander Krysov from Team Katusha, and also lively early on, Bernard Eisel. Well, you join us live here. This is the situation. We have a lead group up the road, and as you can see, they are spread wide across it. Echelons are going to be formed. They're going to be a vital part today. Watch out for the finish today. We'll come to that in a few moments' time, but I've got to tell you, there are some very testy roundabouts. Some of them are quite dusty in the wind here. It seems that some liquid at the local fire station has been dropped on the penultimate roundabout, and mud has stuck. A man who is clean as a whistle in terms of his analysis, however, is Matt Rendell, who's out there on course and will get us up to speed. Matt.
Hello, Carlton. I can hear you not quite loud and clearly, but I can just about make you out. Can you make me out?
Yes, you're booming. It's brilliant.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I can tell you what's booming out here, Carlton. That is the wind. We have a wind coming from the north-northwest. There are gusts of at least 30 kilometres an hour, and you've covered that first sprint. That was after 40.5 kilometres. After 71 kilometres of this 145 kilometre stage, pretty much the halfway point, the peloton swung hard left. They've been riding into a strong headwind for 32 kilometres. As they came around that corner, the peloton fractured under the pressure of the Argos Shimano team, and at present there are at least 4 large echelons in the lead group. Taylor Phinney, who you've already mentioned, the winner of the first intermediate sprint, he is there with plenty of BMC teammates. John Degenkolb, the leader of Team Argos Shimano 81, he's in that group with 5 teammates. The news is that Mark Cavendish is not there. Cavendish in a third group that must be at least a minute behind. My present position is behind a second group, and I can tell you Edvald Boasson Hagen, the leader of Team Sky, is in that second group ahead of me, and so too, Carlton, is Fabian Cancellara. He made the first group, but unbelievable though it may sound, he has been dropped from that group, and he is now contributing to the pulling in this second group. Very, very testing conditions indeed out here on the road. Some of the previews of this race seem to suggest we can expect 5 bunch sprints as routine, and then the GC to be sorted out in the team time trial tomorrow. Nothing of the sort is happening, Carlton. We've got a fabulous race on your hands. Let me throw back to you.
Thank you, Matt. Yes, it was the big turn at Al Jamalya. This was previewed as being an absolute nightmare. If you weren't in the right place on the road at that point, it was as they made the big old turn and headed down towards the southwest. That was where the punishment was going to be meted out, and so it has proved. So we've got 4 groups all together, and everyone desperate to try and find a little bit of cover. They will have to work together, let's not forget, because if you drift to the back of one of these, you're going to have to put so much effort to get into a decent position when those crucial turns come that you may as well have been putting in the effort early on and be up there. So we're looking at the lead group as we stand right now, and Ian Stannard, the British champion, is amongst this group here. 40 to go. 45 seconds is the deficit to the second group here. Let's just take you through what they've got to do today. They will get to Dukhan Beach, and at that point they have to head due south. It's kind of like a lazy drop loop, if you like. They'll then make the turn, a switchback, and head all the way straight back up towards the finish line. And already we've got people suffering. This is Zach Dempster, yes, 10th on the opening stage of the Tour Down Under. So he's already started his season, but also, as you can see, today he has a deficit. I think anyone who's not feeling absolutely 100% today is going to suffer. Matt has already pointed out that Fabian Cancellara is one of those who've surprisingly just not got everything it takes today. I'm sure it wasn't just team orders either. So the strong men are going to try and do their stuff. Just looking, it seemed to have got 4 BMC riders in this particular group here, and along with Ian Stannard from Sky Pro Cycling as well. 40k to go, 45 seconds the gap. It may well stick. The normal rules don't really apply when you've got open topography such as this, and everyone just fighting to get some kind of respite, but also stay up there and in contention. It's amazing, man.
Absolutely. Some news, Carlton. In that leading group is rider number 32, Adam Blythe, the British sprinter. Now, he is not nominally the leader of that BMC racing team. The leader, of course, is Taylor Finney, and Taylor will be dragging the team around, a very strong team, around the team time trial tomorrow. But Blythe is an out-and-out sprinter, and of the two, Finney and Blythe, you might expect the Brit to be able to pick up more bonus seconds, and he could be an unexpected favourite. He's in the lead group. When you think that Boassenhagen isn't there, Cavendish isn't there, Cancellara isn't there, I can tell you that Bernati and Matti Breschel are there, and so I think you've mentioned him is Elia Viviani and Johanny Hutarovic, the leader of AG2R La Mondiale Rider 101. But bossing the peloton are Argos Shimano. They have Degenkolb, they have Nikias Arndt, he's in that lead group, he's the youngest rider in the race. Roy Curvis is there, Ramon Zinkeldan 86 is there, and so too is Tom Feelers. Well, Tom Feelers, Carlton, you remember during the Tour, took over sprinting duty from Marcel Kittel, who was ill, and Feelers got a couple of 4th places and a 3rd place in the first week of the Tour de France. He's strong as well, so it's a little bit like looking at the women's race that stopped 3 days ago. That was won by the women's version of Argos Shimano, and they've clearly inspired their male counterparts. Carlton, looking ahead at me, well, I'm just behind the second group, the Boassenhagen group. There are at least 3 Team Sky teammates alongside Boassenhagen, but it is a long way towards the lead group, and I can't see this closing, Carlton.
No, frankly, I can't see it either. It's expanded out. It's gone out to around about 50 seconds, 50 seconds as we speak. And believe me, this is a huge test for these boys. Looking at Nicky Terpstra as well, looks nice and fresh out there for Omega Pharma Quickstep. A lot of riders here have suddenly found themselves sort of with a teammate deficit, if you like. Sometimes that can help in situations like this because there's no hiding place. Everyone has to do their fair share of work. And as a result, if you do find yourself on your own and you give them the team get-go to go and find something out of the day, then why not have a go and, you know, pitch in? Tom Velas could well be that man. You never know. Likewise, you know, we might be looking at something very, very spectacular from the likes of Adam Blythe from BMC. It would be wonderful if they can do this. Yes, Mark Cavendish is in the third group as we speak. It all fractured. It got very, very hairy by the time we made that turn at Al Jamalia, as Matt Randell has already told us. And as we look down here right now, you can see Luke Rowe, Ian Stannard, I beg your pardon. Mistook him for Luke Rowe from the distance shot that we just had there. Ian Stannard is there. We'll get hopefully get the numbers fully up for you in just a few moments' time. But 37 kilometres remaining, and it's the business end already of the day. That's Mark O'Halloran nearest to us. He took stage 4 in Beijing, so he is in a sort of a happy place when it comes to wide open spaces. If you look down this list as well, there is Mark Cavendish, in fact, and looking harried, and I suspect a little bit, well, more than disappointed. Checks at the camera, gives it its usual scowl, as you can see. Does not really like to be in a place such as this. With 37 kilometres to go, he's essentially just a little bit lost on the first day. So it may well be stage wins. We're talking about that already here as we start this tour of Qatar, the opening day of 6. And already, Matt Rendell, we're starting to talk about those who've kind of missed the boat.
Absolutely, and I can tell you the wind is gusting from the right-hand side, and periodically ahead of me, riders are being thrown across to the left, and Baden Cook in this second group narrowly avoided crashing into the speed barrier at the side of the road just a few seconds ago, went right onto the sand, and they had to make a huge effort to get back into the group. And as you were saying, Carlton, the riders will carry on in this direction with the wind coming from the right all the way to the second intermediate sprint after 110 kilometres, and then they head south. They'll have the wind behind them. It will be very fast indeed for 16 kilometres, and then they just turn round.
And this is that sprint, Matt. They're coming to it right now. Just cut across you. Sorry about that, but we're heading for the sprint right now, and they are going for it. As you can see, time is of the essence in an event such as this, and already this big group, probably about 25 riders, just starting to struggle a little bit here. It's been taken by, I believe it's Martin Velits, but we'll get that at the moment, the big workhorse for Sky, out at the front, just to try and deny Argus Shimano any more joy out here today, because you feel that they've got what it takes today. And just looking a little bit further back and deeper into this group here, this is Team NetApp Endura, just a feature for you. The second group at 50 seconds. It's going to take a little while for them to come through, and two principals from Team I Am as well, just rolling into the front of proceedings here. That's Henrik Hausler just getting up to the front here and just easing his way back. Roger Kluger, I think, is also here from Team NetApp Endura. 34 to go then, 50 seconds time. The second group will be coming. This is the third chase group with Mark Cavendish also doing a turn, as you can see, wearing number 1 but also wearing a grimace. And he's got that sort of how can I put this, tongue out, but well, he's a hard man to read, to be honest, because he always looks moderately fed up. This was that run for the line here, 3, 2 and 1 seconds up for grabs at that final intermediate sprint of today. Well, it may well be of very little consequence to those who are in the chasing groups here, because it looks like they have been brutalised by the wind today, as well as the efforts by those who are up in front in the lead group. It's a great place to be, Matt, if you happen to be out front, because you can already perhaps start thinking about the possibility of victory here.
Yes, absolutely. And in the second group ahead of me, you could see heads beginning to drop. There was a long upwards drag. They're coming into a fierce wind, and the front group is a long way ahead of them. And of course, up front, they've got the wind in their sails now, turning that corner. And when you've got a big gap to bridge. It certainly can seem very hard indeed. Riders in the front group, tails between their legs, they'll be thinking already of the victory. They'll be speeding south with the wind behind them for 16 kilometres, then they'll be speeding north again, the other side of the road, straight into the teeth of a bitter gale. And then, as you've been saying, Carlton, a very complex final 5 kilometres with 550 metres from the finish line, an abrupt right-hand turn, 90 degrees, and that will throw the leaders straight into a headwind, a block headwind, and they'll be sprinting against it. And as things stand, Cavendish will not be there, nor too will Edvald Boasson Hagen.
Well, we're about 10 minutes beyond the slowest time of the day, which tells you just how strongly this wind is blowing. We haven't got a windometer here, but I can tell you that the windsocks are absolutely horizontal, and it is a block headwind that they'll be facing into when they make the final turn to go to the finish line. You can stand up in it, but believe me, your clothes do billow, if that gives you some kind of idea of exactly what they're going to have to deal with here. Yes, and they've had to sort of deflate some of the air inflatable entertainment for the children in this part of the world, and I think they've more or less stayed at school. So the second chasing group here, quite a big one, 23 riders in total. It includes Edvald Boasson Hagen, who probably came into this event and thought, you know what, I've probably got myself a chance here. He may not be in a straight line quicker than Mark Cavendish on most days, but he carries an awful lot of power, and that's the sort of frame that you need in an event such as this. It's what brought Tom Burnham so much success, let's not forget. 4 times a winner. He's not here. Elbow surgery for him, and 20 stages under his belt sort of speaks volumes as to just how effective he is in this kind of environment. So as we come, let me just tell you that final turn that Matt was talking about is a right-hander. It comes at 550 meters. It is off camber. They've built a roundabout here that's sort of in a bowl. I don't know how fast you're supposed to take that roundabout, but believe me, if you take a right-hander, you're only using a quarter of it, let's say. I hope this makes sense. And then you're onto a negative camber. Everyone's going to be fighting for the inside line because there's no joy going wide. And if we have, let's say, 6 or 7 riders even, they may well start to get into each other. It'll be very, very close. They'll face that block headwind. They're going to want to get round that corner as quickly as possible to take the maximum advantage into that block headwind, just to sort of diminish any efforts that they may well have to put in as they absolutely churn it for the line. And believe me, that's what it's going to be. Here is your lead group then. Count them across the road. You know which direction the wind is coming as we look at them from behind. It's from right to left, and they've echeloned right out here. 45 seconds though is the gap, and it looks like Edvald Boasson Hagen and his Sky Pro cycling boys may well have just turned up the pace a little bit here. What will they leave behind though, Matt, if they do manage to bring these 2 major groups together?
Well, it's going to be very, very hard. It is a long way to go. Sky doing a little bit of work in the second group, but if you think the Cannondale team, formerly Liquigas, they have their leader Elia Viviani, the track racer, the Olympic Omnium rider, a wonderful young sprinter. He's got into that group. He'll be nicely protected. AG2R have their lead sprinter Johanni Hutarovic in that group, but it is Dagan Kolb, the big favourite, and of course, as soon as they knew that Cavendish and Boasson Hagen were not in that lead group, they turned the gas up full, and they will want to protect that lead. Now, when that front group makes the turn in about 9-10 kilometres time, they will be struggling very slowly into this 30 kilometre an hour gale, and they'll see the chasers come past them top speed. Perhaps that might give a little bit of hope to the chasing group. Boasson Hagen does have 3 teammates here, and they'll be doing everything they can to close it, because Team Sky do have such a good team and a good record in the team time trial. Tomorrow, 14 kilometres. Very difficult, Carlton, to see victory coming to anyone other than the top 3 teams here: Omega Pharma Quickstep, Sky Pro Cycling, Radio Shack, Leopard. But the gaps here today on stage 1 of the 2013 Tour of Qatar are going to be gaping at the end of this stage. Some massive time gaps going to be here, splitting up the peloton. Carlton, back to the studio.
Yeah, we're just looking at Fabian Cancellara. He's engaged in conversation at the moment, and he looked sort of rueful, if I'm allowed to say that. Jaroslav Popovic on the nose of this group as we're looking at the moment. An AG2R, this is almost pained expressions amongst many, as you can see there. They're having to put a huge cadence here. It's about power delivery, let's not forget, on a day such as this. They may not be going as fast as you might have thought at this level, but believe me, as you can see from their demeanour, they are using an enormous wattage as we speak. There's a lot of very, very tired legs, and by the end here today, possibly minds as well. Now, we've headed down due south off that sprint. Here's Mark Cavendish. This is the third group here. They will make the leaders will make a switchback to go onto the other side of the highway, and when they do that, of course, everyone is more or less within sight of each other, and the gaps, well, there's going to be no doubt about who is in the boss group. And essentially, exactly what work is still to be done. It's sort of heartbreaking when your opponents come by on the opposite side of the highway and you're still heading the wrong way for what is a minute and 25. Yes, not a great thing at all for some of the bigger names here, but for those who are out front, it's a happy time. One of those is Taylor Phinney. Took the first sprint along the way today. Still waiting for confirmation of how the second sprint panned out. Matt, have you got word on that?
No word at all, I'm afraid to say, Carlton. And here on the road, you can imagine my ears are full of wind. The gale it really makes it quite difficult to hear. Communications aren't great, so I'm afraid I can't update you on that.
Not at all, not a problem at all, because it's going to be about the winner today. 10 seconds bonus, let's not forget, for the winner at the end of today's stage. It'll count for that throughout, save for tomorrow's team time trial, naturally. Sky will want to hit back tomorrow if victory does not come their way, but you never know. Something may well be in the offing. Nicky Terpstra's looking nice and fresh today. Tour of Flanders winner, and a man who can deliver, particularly on a day like today. The Flatlanders may well have something in reserve, kind of playing that game. They're used to grizzly weather. All right, I know it's sunshine, but wind is very much a part of racing in Holland and indeed Belgium, and they bring a lot to the table on a day such as this. So let's see. Martin Elmiger just drifting through and just paced here and swapped over with Greg Rast, who also happens to be up in this bunch here, just bouncing away and just keeping the pace as they would like it as we speak. Just saw Gabby Rash in this group as well here. So 2-3 Sky representatives as we look down onto our lead group. So maybe it won't all be Omega Pharma Quickstep as we thought at the beginning of this race. In fact, anything but, as we stand right now. Nicky Terpstra may well be holding up their end for them, although it's the unfamiliar jersey. He's in the Dutch national jersey. BMC will be happy about the way things have spread for them. With 29 kilometres to go now, 40 seconds, it's sort of holding steady, that gap, and you'll see the teams and riders actually facing each other in just a few moments' time as they come to the big turn and head back up towards what essentially will be a headwind in just a few moments' time.
Carlton, Kenny van Hummel, a rider with dossard number 8, I think it's 128 of Vacances Soleil. He is at the very back of that group. We've got 25 kilometres to go. We've just gone past the sign. Ian Stannard, Kenny van Hummel, Huterovic and Viviani are the rear 4 riders in that group, and they're making sure they save plenty for the big finale. Adam Blythe too is towards, he's now third from the rear of the group, just ahead of me. So the big sprinters really trying to get the position where they're not sharing the work at the front, where they're nice and protected, and trying to save some energy for the big sprint. Dagan Kolb, of course, he has got 4 or 5 teammates in there working for him, and in pole position, it has to be said. But these guys are sitting at the back. Viviani has just moved up to halfway and just having a good look. They'll want a pop at Dagan Kolb. He won 5 stages in the Vuelta last year and got onto the big table of the sprinters along with Cavendish and Greipel, but there's a few others who would take great satisfaction in taking Dagan Kolb's scalp today. Stage 1 be a good way to set yourself up for the week, wouldn't it, Carlton?
Oh, it would be. We've just had a nice close look at Juan Antonio Flecha. Let's not forget he was 3rd in this event last time by, and Flecha could well be one of those men who takes that big step again, despite the fact he's 35 years of age now. His last win was the Het Nieuwsblad back in 2010, but never ever count out Flecha. He certainly can still bring an awful lot to the table here, and for Vacances Soleil that would be a superb result for them. Wouter Mol, let's not forget, is a former winner for Vacances Soleil here, won back in 2010, so you know, they have brought a proper team here. Let's not forget, they may well be further down the numeric numbering system here, but that does not count against them. And right now Flecha is just biding his time. He's actually saving a good deal of energy and just seems to be rolling nicely with the punches, mainly coming from the weather here today.
Yes, Carlton, I think Flecha will be he's sitting right at the back of that group there. He'll be thinking of his teammate Van Hummel. We're just moving towards the front, and there are the big boys from Argos Shimano leading it out. They've taken the race by the scruff of the neck, accepted their responsibility. Now that Cav isn't in that group, Dagan Kolb will be telling them, I want this today, invest in me, do the work, and I promise I'll pay you back. That's what the big sprinters, that's the responsibility they have to accept, and I'm sure he ended last season in that fabulous form at the Vuelta 5 stage wins, and he'll be delighted if he can start this season with a win here at Qatar. The wind, Carlton, seemed to be dying down a little bit, and you can see that in the shape of that peloton. I think it's because we're rolling along here at about 55 kilometers an hour, and the peloton, the leading group I should say, doesn't even seem to have the bit between its teeth. They're saving energy, holding their advantage, and the wind behind them speeds are high.
Well, we've all strung out here, and I presume it's because we're about to make the turn with 26 kilometers to go. It's unnamed, unfortunately. They're all sort of just stretching their legs out at the moment as well, just sort of making sure that the calves are nicely at ease as we head down towards this big switchback. Nicky Terpstra taking a big check over his shoulder there in the Dutch national jersey, just ahead of one of the Cannondale boys. It is Viviani who's in this group. I think he's possibly one of the big dangers here today, Viviani. We will, of course, see as we progress, but there he is, just churning it right now. Does not look to have any teammates around him, but will he need them on a day like today? Because this will be those teams who do have teammates, they'll be forming a train before you know it, and if you can buy a ticket for that one, you're going to be in a very, very happy place here. Roger Kluge is also amongst this group, number 131, 4th in 2010, and he's been in the top 6 on 7 occasions, so he certainly knows how to ride in these conditions as well, so maybe that's a name that we need to conjure with as well. 25 to go, and our leaders here just peeling off the front, but I think it's not so much breaking down as just easing themselves into position for the major turn that they'll be coming to head back up the highway. Lots of checking over shoulders going on here, and I'm just wondering, there we are, that gap down to 25 seconds now. I think it was an attempt then. Let's just reboot that. If it is only 25 seconds and the second major group is approaching them, and maybe some riders just thinking, come on, come and drag with me, let's go for this today. It's a tall order when the wind is blowing such as this, and I think we may well have a coming together. These are a pair of leaders at the moment up the road, but to be fair, with I think we just passed the 20 kilometers to go mark, that said, but I think it's supposed to say 25, or somebody's got this wrong in terms of the placement. That's Bernard Eisel, and I think it was Eisel that took the second intermediate sprint here. That's my guess anyway. The man who took the Wevelgem, big 31-year-old Austrian, who tans up well for an Austrian, I've got to say. Maybe carries it sort of a farmer's tan or a skier's tan off the slopes, who knows. Helicopters with a bird's eye view today and bringing you plenty. And we're going to have a huge amalgamation here, and we're going to have to reset this map because the lead two groups are coming together.
I'm just looking over my shoulder. There's an Argos Shimano. You're perhaps better placed to identify them. An Argos Shimano and a Sky, and behind them there's a BMC and another rider attempting to form a group of four. They were not happy with the two groups coming together. I think Sky sending a rider out front to give Boris Hagen and his helpers the excuse not to work. Yes, there are four riders out front. There's a quick step there. I think it might be Nicky Terpstra. So four riders out front, and behind them groups coming together as they make the turn, and we're going to be going straight back into the teeth of that gale.
Yes, we certainly are. It's Bernard Eisel who's gone up, but I think he took the second sprint here. I think the first and foremost idea was essentially just to get round that corner safely, and they seem to have done precisely that. Good work. We got number 36 here as well, which is Michael Shah joining the fun, and number 47 it is Dominic Roland from Francis Dejeux joining in with number 83, which is Roy Curvers, the 33-year-old veteran Dutch rider. So those four out front at the moment, and a little shake of the head there from Bernard Eisel, as if to say, how on earth have I found myself in a place such as this? I think you probably ask yourself that question again and again with this win, Matt.
I think that's right, quite. And as I say, I think he will have made that move forward so that as the groups, if they come together, and I must say if, because we're now on the way back, we're ahead of the race here. There are those four riders out front. We've just watched the second group, that big echelon, come past us. There's still a sizable gap, and 25 seconds, it may sound as though things are coming together. I think that gap has been quite stable, and in this wind it is still a long way. It's a big investment to bring the groups back together, and once you've made that investment, you don't have the energy to spend on the sprint lead out later on. So I must say, anyone who's already in that first group, already at a huge advantage with respect to anyone coming from the rear.
Well, yes, and Omega Pharma Quickstep, Mark Cavendish's new team, incidentally. If you are just starting your cycling viewing for the first time, and it would not be surprising, then it is Mark Cavendish with Omega Pharma Quickstep, let's not forget. He says it feels like a perfect fit. Well, today, maybe the shoes are just pinching him a little bit, because it has not worked out brilliantly for him just for the time being. Things may change, especially with the groups coming together as they are, but for the time being, we've got four riders up the road. There is a major group after an amalgamation of the first two significant breakaways. Ilya Kaiser just on the nose of that group 3, I believe it is, at 1 minute and 15. Here are our leaders up the road, four riders on their lonesome. Eisel, Shah, Roland and Curvers. That's how they stand at the moment. Now, Bernard Eisel looked very, very fresh on that second sprint. If we can get confirmation of that result. Still waiting for that, incidentally. I think it was he that took that second sprint. And he's sort of checking over his shoulders at the moment, as if to say to himself, well, you know, guys, if you want me to back out of this, I can do, but he's clearly doing a satellite job for his team at the moment, trying to just keep an eye. I suspect that Edvald Bosenhagen is the man that they're trying to work for, and he's in that main chasing bunch now after the coming together.
Well, Carlton, Eisel, of course, was a rider who started his pro career with Francis Dejeux as an out-and-out sprinter. And it was only when he was riding for T-Mobile, that then became HTC Columbia under the High Road aegis, that he met Mark Cavendish. Initially thought he could take Cav, thought, you know, wait a minute, I'm the sprinter here. I'm not too happy about this young Maxman coming in and taking over as principal sprinter. centre, and the story he tells is that as soon as he saw what Cav could do, he realised he was going to have to take a subservient role to Mark Cavendish. But Eisel, don't forget, he's a former winner of Ghent-Wevelgem, won that race in 2010. He can sprint, he can work, he can fulfill tactical roles for the team. He's a very strong rider to have in that leading group of 4. And as I look over my shoulder, they must have a 250 to 300 yard lead over the first group behind them. As I was talking, the third group on the road came past us, and they were sitting up and trying to have a good look, and they'd become spectators to the front of the race. And that is your fate when you're caught in these terrible winds. 1 metre, 2, 3 open in front of you, between you and the rider in front. You lose the slipstream effect, and suddenly, in order to be riding at 30 kilometres an hour, a very modest speed, you've got a 30 kilometre an hour headwind. You have to put in the effort it would take to ride at 60 kilometres an hour in still conditions, just to give some impression of just how hard it is for these riders. It's like trying to run in a swimming pool. The wind here feels more like a warm liquid than it does a gas. Very, very hard work. And this is why, of course, they come to the Tour of Qatar, because they know conditions are going to be hard.
Yep.
It's a place to get some hard racing in and prepare yourselves for the big classics. And some of the big classic riders are all over the road behind us. Over to you, Carlton.
Thank you, Matt. We've just seen the 4 riders up the road here, just rolling, just sharing the duties. Roy Curvis was the man who seemed to be suffering the most. Each time he came to the rear and was expected then to pick it up and go back to the front, just struggling out of the saddle and just driving into it. And as you heard Matt Rendell just describing absolutely beautifully there, it is like swimming through tar, like those worst nightmares that you have. How on earth am I putting in so much effort, they're saying to themselves quietly, you understand, they're not wasting any energy in conversation here. How come I'm just putting in so much and going so slowly? 15 kilometers to go, and a big old chug out of the saddle as we look there from Greg van Avermaet. Doesn't suggest that he's entirely comfortable as well, but he's using his energy at the moment to stay up front. And as we were mentioning earlier on, if you do drift back, you're still going to have to burn that energy just to stay on, because you start to, as it strings out, as we have got for you right now, yes, you find yourself really in a tough place. It says 20 seconds. Just count. Just pick a lamppost, a marker at the side of the road, anything you like, and then count back to the pursuers here. I suspect that that is no longer 20 seconds, and that we may well have these 4 riders up front coming back into that grouping. Albeit that the third group is now less than a minute in arrears, and we still have 14 kilometers to go. Question then is, how much effort are they putting in to wind this lot back in? Yes, the eternal
Absolutely.
question.
And Carlton, with Roy Curvis in that little breakaway group, Argos, don't forget, are a man down. Niklaus Arndt, rider 82, he did his work at the front and dropped back into the second chasing group. He might well be in the third by now. And Dagan Kolb having fewer and fewer helpers around him. And of course, this is the quandary, this is the problem. If you do have a dominant team with plenty of riders in the lead group, every other team looks to you to do the hard work. But I think we might be expecting other teams now to send riders to the front, preserve that advantage and attempt to bring it home. Carlton, interesting, you should point out the presence of Roger Kluge, of course the Olympic points silver medal from Beijing 2008. He was 4th in the Omnium at London 2012 and 6th in the London Olympic Omnium. It was Elia Viviani. These are track riders, they know each other very, very well. Kluge had a good start to his professional career with Milram, and then joined Argos Shimano as a sprinter. Didn't get a win in 2 years, did sterling work for the likes of Kittel and Degenkolb, but was dropped from the team, dropped down to continental level, joined Team Indora. This is his second year with the formation that last year was Indora, this year is NetApp, but he would dearly love to get something out of this today. Viviani he knows very, very well. They'll go head to head. The question is, can either of them do anything about Thunder Thighs himself, John Degenkolb?
Happily put. Yes, Michael Shah has just had a bit of a he sort of passed a comment amongst the lead four here, and they all sort of had a little chuckle to themselves. Things have eased back just a little bit, and as you can see, they're well within sight here, and the least inclined to do any more work is Bernard Eisel, who's just dropped off the nose of this quartet out front, and he's heading back to his teammates. He's going to be doing a job for Edvald Bosenhagen. You can be almost certain of that. Geraint Thomas is also in the Sky team, as well as British champion Ian Stannard, let's not forget. Still with an awful lot of firepower, and I think Bernard Eisel is thinking, well, I'm not going to burn it here right now. He is, these days, very much inclined to play the supporting role at 31 years of age. He knows that the 25-year-old legs of Edvald Bosenhagen have got something that could deliver today. He's got that sort of strength that might help him. We're just looking at Mark Cavendish right now, and still he's clearly getting some sort of help here as that quartet are brought back into this now ever-expanding bunch, it seems, and only 40 seconds back to the Mark Cavendish group. They may well have done enough here to bring this together, and the wind, if it has dropped a little bit, one thing it certainly is more constant. I'm just looking at the flags around the finish line, however, and we still have a very, very stiff sea breeze. It will have an impact, Matt. It's just a question of degree as three more go across the road here. They're starting to think about this. This is the opening group, and yet again Francis de Gier pick up the hammer here, and they're marked almost immediately by a Skyrider and one from BMC as well, and they're being joined by others. AG2 are also coming and joining the party. First real look that we've had of them, apart from Utarovic as well. I think this is Ugo Ule who's gone up, the young 22-year-old. He's a great time trialist, incidentally, the young Canadian, third in the national time trial at such a young age, a tender age of 22, showing that he's got something to deliver, and absolutely the qualities you're going to need today. Hold that pace, especially if the wind just does level out a little bit and becomes more constant. Right hand side of the road, they're still going for it, and they're breaking down up front here, and Eisel again it is that's headed off, I think it is, or yes it is. In fact, it may well be Chris Sutton who's taking up Sky pursuit duties here. No, it's I beg your pardon, it's one from Radio Shack Leopard here.
Yes, Sutton, I think, was in the third group on the road, out of it very early on. But as you say, I think you might have a better view than me, Carlton. I'm craning my neck. One rider with a good lead here, a couple of others getting across, but every move solicits a response. But at the moment, there are three up front. There's a move I can see Viviani in third place in the green of Liquigas. Of Cannondale, I should see, but three riders up front there with lots of activity in the peloton behind them, so close to the finish line. It's such a commitment to throw yourself out at the front. People will hesitate before doing so, and the second that you can gain while they hesitate, thinking, do I really want to go out on my own into that wind, that can be the second that gets you your first win of the season. So high stakes, Carlton, at this stage of the race.
Hugely important, and indeed the work rate that's been put in, that'll be the question mark by Mark Cavendish here today. Very early season, let's not forget. He came out of the box in Saint Louis, essentially did a terrific job there, picked up a stage win. So he has been lively. An Omega Pharma quick step. I'm not suggesting that Tom Bonan is on any kind of vacances, but it is a minor operation to his elbow that he has had out there. Yeah, so he is absent. Just jotting down a few numbers for you here right now. That is Brent Buchwalter for BMC, incidentally, who's part of a trio that's gone off. There's a couple of satellite riders in no man's land at the moment, as there was a big coming together, including the Mark Cavendish group here. And there you are, local access, local knowledge perhaps would be more more useful on a day such as today. Just how do you deal with a wind like this? As best you possibly can is the answer. That's Gregory Rast, the 33-year-old Swiss who can churn a wheel. He's big of frame, but he's like a praying mantis out there, and it's absolutely the right man to send up the road for Radio Shack Leopard. That's what they've done right now. The chasers are on there. That's Andrei Grivko, I think the Ukrainian champion for Astana, looking for a little bit of support, and Sky again throw the dice and send somebody up the road. It looked a bit like Geraint Thomas. Haven't got a check on that for you. 9 kilometres to go. Road's running out, and this trio have actually gone. Everyone else is starting to look at each other, and maybe they're thinking, you know what, the spoils of this tour could be shared by those amongst us here. Should we really burn it all right now? It may well, we speculate, allow these guys to take it. Rast, Buchwalter and Eno. Now they're going to get a little bit more protection as they come in here. I'm not suggesting we've got mountains here and nothing alpine, that's for sure. Maximum height above sea level is around about 70 or 85 meters only, but we do have outcrops, as you can see. It does offer just a little bit of wind protection. NetApp doing a proper job on the nose here, starting to think about Roger Kluger and Russ Downing as well. And just looking a little bit further back, there's the Nicky Terpstra in the Dutch national jersey for Omega Pharma Quickstep, so mostly red upon his shoulders as we look at him. And this trio have gone here and they've posted 30 seconds, Matt, as the rest of them come by the 10k marker.
Absolutely, and Sebastian Eno, you've got to hand it to him, the oldest rider in the race. He'll be 39 years old, just a couple of days after this race finishes. He's got into that breakaway. Brent Buchwalter, rider number 33, the BMC, the 28-year-old. Remember, he finished second in the first stage of the 2010 Giro d'Italia, second to Bradley Wiggins in that time trial. The best performance of his career so far, the American, but looking convincing for the time being, although I have to say there's only 3 of them. They're riding into a fierce wind. You can make it look good only so far, but if they get organised behind them and you have 7 or 8 riders combining from the teams of the sprinters who will definitely want it all to come together so they get a chance to fight it out among themselves, they will bring these 3 riders back, have no doubt about that. Question mark though, you're better placed to see than me, Carlton, but does Viviani of Cannondale in the green that used to be Liquigas, does he have any teammates in that group? Does Roger Kluger have any teammates in that group? And how many Argos Shimano are left working for John Degenkolb, because they've been working hard for the final 50-60 kilometers of the stage. They've spent a lot of energy, they've shot a lot of cartridges, Carlton.
They certainly have.
We're truly in the end game now.
We definitely are. Roger Kluger, I believe, has Russell Downing with him, so he's got a partner. Viviani has one teammate with him, haven't got a clock on it just for the time being. Just homing in on Edvald Bosenhagen at the moment for Sky Pro Cycling. Sky, he's got an absolute flotilla of help around him. And Omega Pharma Quickstep, who've been doing most of the work on the front here, after pacing back Mark Cavendish, he's actually locked in the centre of this grouping here, just trying to conserve some energy for the end game today. But the pace is being kept up by Omega Pharma out front because they do not want these guys to get off the leash. This is Elmager wearing the number 73 there from I Am. Rast, number 26 here as well. Gregory Rast from Radio Shack Leopard, and Buchwalter as well, who he's the sort of guy you'd like to have in the trenches with you, I think, the American. Brent Buchwalter is here as they go under the bridge here. 8 to go, 7 in just around about 200 meters time, and it's 45 seconds now, the last time check. I think they've got some ambitions here, and I think they may well be rewarded, because I think the big names here, as far as the GC are concerned, by the end of this event are in this bunch, and the conversation's going on. We're seeing smiles here from Cancellara. Now, he's quite often the daddy of the group. We've seen him hold up We've seen him hold up entire pelotons when teammates have been in trouble in the past. Oh dear, and the smiles are just starting to spread here. It's like it's almost infectious, and I can't see that they're throwing the hammer down to chase down this group, and it's expanding. The gap is expanding, Matt.
Well, Carlton, just looking down at Gregory Rast just ahead of me in second place there, 26. The Swiss road race champion back in 2006, but he was 4th in Paris-Roubaix in 2011, 8th in the Olympic road race in 2012. Full of power. These three have a good advantage, and Carlton, I think I'm going to correct myself now. You've been suggesting you think they're going to make it. Well, as I look over my shoulder, there is a huge gap, and I think I'm beginning to come round to your way of thinking. Carlton, I'm going to be leaving this leading trio now. We'll head straight to the finish line for the post-race interviews, and it's going to be down to you, my friend, to talk this race home. 42 seconds the advantage of these three over the chasing group. We'll see you later.
Thanks to Matt Randell, who takes his leave. You'll see him there. He is in the red jersey. Give us a wave, Matt, as he heads off, notebook in hand. There he is, the bright yellow jersey, I should say, just by the barriers. He's worked hard on that notebook, I can tell you. But believe me, he's absolutely right, I think. 45 seconds is the gap now, and I suspect it may well be a little bit more than that. There they are, not the Alps, and maybe it looks they're an awful lot closer, those mountains, should we call them, or mounds, than you would think. If they were 100 miles away, they would be big, but they are not. But this is a big turn being done out front here, and it is Omega Pharma that are doing most of it. This may well be, in case there is a split towards the end, they want to get to that turn in the road. Remember that? Yes, we were talking about it none too long ago. At the 5K to go mark, we start to think about the transition across the major highway here. It'll be a double roundabout and a bridge, which they will take. They then take a sharp left-hander at 4 to go, just before that, at 4 kilometers to go. And then they have to deal with 1, 2, 3, and 4 roundabouts along the way. Now, doesn't sound like terribly much because the highways here are very, very wide, as you can see. You can pick your options as you go into such turns. However, if you're in the main bunch here, the last thing you need is any kind of accident or incident, especially if it's outside of that 3 kilometer, that oh so crucial 3 kilometer mark, where if you do have an incident, then the commissaires can offer you up the finish time of the winners. Now then, I think we may well be seeing the Tour winner come from this bunch, but today I've got a feeling, and as Matt Rendell was also saying, that it's going to be those who are out front. Katusha all riding together now, almost on a Sunday afternoon. And these boys, just look at the cadence, it's completely different. They are having to work harder though, let's not forget. 5K and 40 seconds, that is doable even under normal circumstances, but with a headwind, well, you have to ask yourself all sorts of questions. Normally a 40-second gap with 5K to go would be fine, but who's got the spare legs, if you like, and the extra power, who've been resting up within the main group? Not many of the Omega Pharma Quick-Step boys, that's for sure, because they have been helping out, dragging back Mark Cavendish, who is within the main bunch. So it's been damage limitation for them today, I think you might say, especially in all the wind that we've had. You can't see it, that's the problem for you at home, but believe me, it is blowing. And I'm looking at some poor gentlemen trying to hold on to their shirts at the moment, because one chap at the finish line here is wearing a rather loose shirt. He's a big man, and it has just billowed over his head. So that may give you an indication of just how much it is blowing here today. 4K to go then, and this does not look like any kind of urgency whatsoever. A little shoulder nudge between between riders going on here, as you just saw. That's Matt Bremier, the Irish champion. As well, just getting a hello, I think, from somebody else from the peloton here, as this trio just passed by. Yet another marker along the way here. I believe that was 5 to go, so our graphics just slightly in arrears. They'll come up and over that double roundabout. There we are, we've just got a correction on that for you. 5 to go with 40 seconds the gap. And this trio, Well, they're just spinning now. There's an indication. That's a very, very big flag, by the way. So don't expect it to be fluttering absolutely horizontally, but it does give you an indication of the wind today. Hardly hanging on the pole, is it? And hardly hanging about is the chase group still. 40 seconds, though, with 5 to go. Seems like the eternal 5 to go, so apologies for that. Zdeněk Stybar, cyclocrosser, who's had a bit of a rude awakening here for Omega Pharma Quickstep, just rolling in and off the front there. Roy Curvers, the Dutch veteran, 33 years of age, got an awful lot behind him already. And coming to the front, Geraint Thomas. Big check over his shoulder just to make sure that he's not leaving anybody behind. This is that little transition I was telling you about. They've got a double roundabout here, essentially. They'll take the first, switch across the highway bridge here, and the chasers will be able to see this. 35 seconds, 4K to go. It's still a big ask, isn't it, for this trio? But all of a sudden they get a little bit of respite here. It starts to come from the side, the wind. Just look at the palms billowing as we pass by, and suddenly they pick it up because they know that they're on. They've got a little bit of spare energy here, a little bit of protection as well offered up by that the concrete hoardings at the side of the road. That to protect the local residents from the sound of the highway. Not that there are any cars here, but there are some spinning legs, as you can see. Here are the chasers. 30 seconds is the gap. With 4 to go, it'll be 3 in just a few moments' time. The motorcycle just avoiding the heavy curbing here. Now, look at the flat brick section to the roundabout here. Riders just warning each other, but it does have a compression effect, and Edvald Boasson-Hagen is towards the front here. There is the Norwegian champion in the red, riding for Sky, but with teammates in hand, just ahead of him, doing a great job. Geraint Thomas has done a super work here, and look at the pace. 4 to go, 30 seconds the gap. I think they may believe that this could happen here. Adam Blythe, what's he got? The Brit for BMC. They've certainly got ambitions here. He'll have to beat Edvald Boasson-Hagen, and what's Mark Cavendish got left here as well? 3 to go now for the trio up front. 30 seconds. I think they may well just make it. It's going to be tighter than we perhaps thought. Now then, 3 kilometers to go. That was the chasers. There are still 3 roundabouts for our leaders to deal with. One comes almost at the 2K to go mark. Now it's straight across this roundabout. Helicopter view for you, and you can see as we peel back past some of these rather luxurious holiday homes that the great, the good from Doha use of a weekend here. There are the chasers. What about them? Elmiger in the white here. Out in front is Buchwalter for BMC, and tracing them at the moment is Greg Rast, 8th in the Olympic road race. What's Greg got today? Well, they're pretty well matched here. If you had to put your money on somebody, I'd probably go with Rast, but well, it could be either one of this trio because you just don't know how much work that they have put in today in the wind. 3 to go, it'll be 2 in just a few moments' time. That will be at the next roundabout. 2K to go at the next roundabout, just on the entry to it. 25 seconds now. Well, they'll be heading through that roundabout right now, our leaders, if that distance graphic is correct. The peloton at 25 seconds as we speak. The crucial roundabouts, there are 2 of them. They're the penultimate one at 1.3 to go. They make the turn here. Down here, there is a large training fire station. All the fire crews from all across the nation of Qatar here come to learn their trade. It seems that they may well overfill the fire tenders because there was moisture dropped on the road at 1.3 kilometers, and as a result, a lot of the dust that blows across in the wind has actually stuck to the road. So keep your fingers crossed. They'll have to go, let's say they come in at 6 o'clock, they will exit at 10 o'clock, if that makes sense to you. So as they approach the roundabout, they've got to go almost 3/4 the way round it, and look at the demeanor here. Oh dear, Ian Stannard says, look, I haven't got anything else left at the top here, just do something. And you see the white jersey of Stannard dead center, just saying, I've popped, I've done my work today, somebody else help me out and do something here for Sky. Meanwhile, 3 riders have got through the danger roundabout here. Now then, they're the last roundabout they have to take, and they're now thinking that victory is within their grasp, and they'll be absolutely right. It's too much. I think that's why Stannard stood up. He just said, no, I can't possibly close this gap. Nobody's going to be able to do it, not even me. And he's a quality rider, let's not forget. What about this trio then? The final roundabout is off camber, the turn. They've built it like a bowl here. They will turn right and then they will head for the finish line. Now, what have you got here? Let's have a look at it. Take it nice and gently, boys. Right-hander, nobody get it wrong. Now then, you can have your own game of cat and mouse. We will have a winner from here. Who's your money up? Well, anybody's guess. Greg Rast at the back at the moment for Radio Shack. Leopard here, will he have what it takes? And they're starting to slow down. If they do this, they're going to get into trouble here. They're going to get into trouble. Goodness me. BMC's Buchwalter picks up the pace, just tries to put in something of a shock, and Rast picks it up now. Rast hits the front. He's going to go for this one. Oh, he's going to go very, very long. The 33-year-old from Switzerland. It would be a superb result for him, but Elmiger responds and starts to grind it, and the chasing pack are coming, and Mark Cavendish is amongst them, dead centre of that blanket, but oh, it goes to Buchwalter. He will be a popular winner at the end of the day. Oh, that was a superb effort. Mark Cavendish, open-mouthed, will know about the effort that he's put in today. I think he may well have got fourth place, but the time gap's almost incidental. Buchwalter buries one. Absolutely superb. Everybody had to bury themselves in today. They were not only fighting against their opponents here, but against the wind itself. What a drive for the line it turned out to be. Elmiger made a huge response there. Rast couldn't offer much up in terms of resistance, it seems, at the end. And in the end, it was a full bike length. He can't believe it. Well, we can. That was well won. From the helicopter then, here's where he picks it up, drives for the line, goes dead centre of the road here. No protection, none needed. He had the strength to deliver in the end. Well, what a great day's racing to open us up. Brent Buchwalter of the United States brings some joy to that continent. Confirmation of the result then: Brent Buchwalter, Martin Elmiger and Gregory Rast. 2 Swiss and 1 American. And that's a helicopter. So we've had our finish line, we have crossed it, and as you can see from the securing tethers here, it's still blowing something of a gale. Some workhorses coming across the line, and there it is, a full bike length clear by the looks of it. Well, half a bike, let's say that, shall we? So I hope you've enjoyed today. It's almost like the entree to what will be an absolutely enthralling tour of Qatar. That's just the opening salvo. Tomorrow we've got the team time trial. It's 14 kilometres in a loop, and you'd have to be loopy to miss it. It's going to be a pleasure to have your company for that. Then we race on very long stages, and every day wind will be a factor. Battle of attrition, you might say. Great training ground this for the classics. Thanks to Matt Randell today. He's done a superb job on the bike to keep you in touch with the mood down below. Mark Cavendish finishing 6th today, but the same finish time. Brent Buchwalter gets 10 seconds bonus though. 6 for Elmiger and Greg Rast picking up 4. Bernard Eisel, the best of the rest here. Viviani in 5th place, that bodes well. He'll take great confidence from that. And Mark Cavendish in 6th place after the work rate that he and his team had to put in. I think they can take that as a victory. There's a long, long way to go in this Tour of Qatar, and despite what we might have thought earlier on, Mark Cavendish and his team put in all the effort to reach the end of what was a very, very tough day. Yes, they're staying in a
شكرا لك العربي المحمودي. إذا نهاية هذه المرحلة الأولى التي امتدت على مسافة 145 كيلومترا، وترون هنا الفوتو فينش الصورة النهائية لخط النهاية. 3 ساعات ونصف تقريبا على 145 كيلومتر مسافة إجمالية تقريبا 41.8، عم نحكي عن 42 كيلومتر بالساعة متوسط سرعة. وهنا نتابع مع المشاهدين الفاينل أتاك أو الهجوم الأخير عند خط النهاية. وبرنت بوكوالتر فاز في هذه المرحلة الأولى كنت عم تتابع سعيد السباق من الداخل، طبعا استمعنا لمعلقنا العربي المحمودي، لكن أيضا نحب ناخذ منك رأيك وتحليلك لما حدث في هذه المرحلة الأولى.
اللي حدث له علاقة بما قلناه في البلاطو التقديمي، على أساس أنه العمل سيكون جماعي، على أساس أن الرياح موجودة، ستنقسم إلى مجموعات، والفريق الذي سيعمل بشكل جماعي هو الذي سيفوز. ماذا رأينا؟ رأينا فريق BMC أنه كان متقدما في السباق في المجموعة الأولى، كان فريق BMC بخمسة متسابقين. لما الالتحام حصل بعثوا بالطلائع، كان لهم واحد طليعة اللي هو بوك والتر، وبعدين من بعد قفلوا على السباق. حاول فريق كافنديش أن يصعد، لكن فريق BMC قفل على السباق ولم يترك لأي أحد أن يصعد. ولما كان بوك والتر في الطليعة يعني تمكن من خلال السرعة النهائية بالفوز بالمرحلة.
هنا كما نرى سعيد، يعني طريقة اصطفاف الدراجين يبدو أن الهواء كان جانبيا. هذه الطريقة بالاصطفاف لحماية من في الخلف، من في الأمام يأخذ الهواء الدرجة الأعلى من الهواء ويحمي من في الخلف، لذلك كانوا ماشيين بشكل دايجونال، يعني خط منحرف.
هو اللي كان هنا على حسب السيناريو الذي صارت به الذي صار به السباق. فلما كان ريح أمامي رأينا أن المجموعة تملأ الطريق. لما تكون رياح جانبية يصطفون على شكل هوائية، يعني ليفونتاي الذي المروح الذي يعني يكون متقطع، لأن الريح لما تأتي تضرب وتنكسر في الواحد بعد الآخر. نعم. وبالتالي لا يحس بها، ولكن لم يكن هذا دائما.
نعم، الوضع هنا نرى أن الدراجين يسيرون في خط مستقيم واحد. هنا صار في كوكبة قوية
في النهاية. هذه في النهاية، بل قبل سوف نلاحظ يعني من بعد هذا هناك صور لمتسابقين يعني يمشوا يسوقون الدراجة على طول الطريق. وفي مرحلة أخرى سنشاهد سباقين يعني يقومون بإدارة الأرجل فقط، لأنهم يعرفون بأن الريح أمامية. هناك مرحلة أخرى سنرى فيها على أن المتسابقين يعملون استراحة محارب، استراحة المحارب، يعني يأكلون يشربون ويحتفظون على السباق كما هو.
أين تتم عملية اختيار القسم الذي يرتاح فيه المتسابق؟ يعني نحن نعلم ربما إذا كان هناك مساحات منحدرة فيها نزول ممكن يرتاح بعض الشيء الدراج، أو هو
أخطر ما في السباق الدراجات هو النزول. نعم. لأنه السيارة
يجب التحكم بالدراجة.
لو أنت عندك سيارة دراجة نارية أو عندك سيارة، الدراج هو الذي سيسبق بشكل غير، لأنه تصل الدراجة إلى السرعة إلى 120 كيلومتر بعض مرات. نعم. لما يكون المنحدر
قاسي. لكن أتحدث عن المنحدرات الضعيفة، يعني بسلوب خفيف.
لا، هذا فيه مشكل آخر، لأن نعم. لأن فيه صعود ونزول، وهذا فيه ضرر على عضلات الساقين وعلى عضلات الفخذين.
نعم.
فبالتالي الذي ليس متدربا بشكل قوي يحصل له ارتداد، يطلع ينزل سي دي فو بلا.
على كل حال لحظة الوصول، وسنرى وإياكم ترتيب هذه المرحلة الأولى التي فاز فيها الأمريكي برانت بوك والتر بتوقيت ومقداره 3 ساعات 28 دقيقة و47 ثانية. هذا هو الترتيب. إذن أمريكي في الطليعة، ثم دراجان أتيان من سويسرا، فالنمسا وإيطاليا، بريطانيا، النرويج، أمريكا، أستراليا وفرنسا. يعني عم نشوف جنسيات مختلفة. غياب للهولنديين اللي شفناهم مسيطرين على سباقات السيدات، حضور أكثر للسويسريين،
لأن الفرق الذكورية فيها جنسيات مختلفة أكثر من الفرق التي بها السيدات، ولهذا فإننا لا نرى عدد كبير من الفرق بها جنسية موحدة بخلاف فريق اليابان وفريق الصين تقريبا.
كنا متوقعين مارك كافنديش أن يكون له شأن في هذا السباق، كان له شأن، تمكن من إيصال دراجته ضمن كوكبة الطليعة، أنهى السباق بالمركز السابع، وهو مركز جيد ومؤهل كي يبقيه بصراع الصدارة.
ليس بالموقف الجيد، لأنه من خلال النقل لما كان ينقل الأخ العربي كنا نشاهد هناك تذمرا على وجهه، وهو يلتفت يمينا وشمالا ليرى أين تموقع المتسابقين الذي معه، وهو لم يكن ليرضى عن هذا الموقع. والدليل على أنه تمكن فريق BMC من صد كل المحاولات التي قام بها فريق أوريكا الذي ينتمي إليه كافنديش، وأقفلوا يعني لم يستطع فريق أوريكا الذي ينتمي إليه كافنديش أن يصعد من السرعة. يعني يجب على الفريق أن يصعد بالسرعة إلى أقصى قدر ممكن حتى يتجاوز سرعة فريق BMC، ولكن العكس هو الذي حصل.
نعم.
ففريق BMC قفل على السباق.
يعني ربما نجد مارك كافنديش بنفس موقع كلوي هوسكينغ اللي عانت بسباق السيدات. وبما أننا نتكلم عن هذا الموضوع، دعونا نستعيد وإياكم في هذا التقرير الخاص لكفاح رباح ما حصل في طواف قطر للسيدات والذي انتهى قبل يومين.
توجت الهولندية كريستين ويلد بطلة لطواف قطر الدولي للسيدات للدراجات الهوائية في نسختها الخامسة بعد فوزها بالمرحلة النهائية التي انطلقت من منتجع سيلين وصولا إلى كورنيش الدوحة. وبلغت مسافة الطواف الذي تصدرته ويلد 86 كيلومتر بمجموع زمني قدره 9 ساعات و40 دقيقة و8 ثوان، متقدمة بذلك على الأسترالية كلوي هوسكينغ بفارق 14 ثانية، في حين حلت الهولندية فان ديك ألين في المركز الثالث بفارق 29 ثانية عن صاحبة المركز الأول. وأضافت ويلد القميص الفضي الخاص بترتيب النقاط، محققة نتيجة إيجابية أخرى في هذا الطواف لتكون هي الأفضل والأسرع، خاصة أنها توجت بالطواف للمرة الثالثة بعد نسختي 2009 و2010.
إنه شيء جميل جدا، أنا فخورة وسعيدة بما حققته. لم أتوقع الفوز مع فريق شيمانو، لقد كان رائعا وحققنا هدفنا.
المرحلة الرابعة والأخيرة من الطواف كانت سريعة وقوية، وتميزت بصراع تكتيكي برزت فيه متسابقات أوريغا شيمانو زميلات ويلد، وسيرنا السباق بشكل جيد بعد الالتحاق بكوكبة المقدمة قبل 4 لفات عن خط الوصول. ورغم بعض المحاولات لتصدر السباق، إلا أن كريستين ويلد أثبتت أنها الأقوى والأفضل في طواف قطر 2013، خاصة عندما تمكنت من رد الهجوم الذي قامت به الأسترالية كلوي هوسكينغ قبل 200 متر عن خط الوصول. وكان فريق أوريغا قد تصدر الترتيب بمجموع زمني قدره 29 ساعة ودقيقتان و29 ثانية بفارق دقيقة و32 ثانية عن فريق لولو ليمون صاحب المركز الثاني.
من منصة تتويج السيدات ننتقل وإياكم مباشرة إلى منصة تتويج الفائزين بهذه المرحلة الأولى من طواف قطر للرجال بشاطئ مدينة دخان بشرق دولة قطر. وهنا الدراجين من فريق BMC. قلنا يعني هناك تجانس بتشكيلة BMC. عندنا آدم بلايث من بريطانيا، براند بوك والتر من الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية ومواطنه لاري وارباس. لدينا من ألمانيا ماركوس بيرغهارت، يانيك إسيان من بلجيكا، تايلر فيني من الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية، مايكل شار من سويسرا، وغريك فان أفرمايت من بلجيكا. يعني دراجان أو 3 دراجين من أمريكا، 2 من بلجيكا، عندنا أيضا من بريطانيا، من ألمانيا، مجموعة من الدراجين متجانسين. وهنا تسليم القميص الذهبي لمتصدر السباق بعد نهاية المرحلة الأولى، دراج فريق BMC الأمريكي برنت بوك والتر. هذه الصور تأتينا مباشرة.
له حوالي 30 دراج ويشارك في السباق ب6 أو 9 دراجين على حسب السباق،
نوعية السباق وحسب أيضا الحضور البدني لكل دراج. يعني كنا نتحدث على أن كيرستن فيلد مثلا كانت متحضرة بنصف الجنوبي للكرة الأرضية من دون شك، يعني بناء على ما رأيناه من بنية عضلية، من حضور بدني. هؤلاء دراجين أيضا هناك دراجين بيكونوا بوضع بدني جاهز، ودراجين آخرين ربما بيحضرهم الفريق للمنافسات القادمة.
نحن الآن في بداية الموسم للدراجات، هناك من هم مستعدون من هم غير مستعدون، ولكن أغلبهم الآن لا يتدربون في أوروبا لموجة البرد، فأغلبيتهم يذهبون إلى جزر الكناري.
قميص فوق قميص، القميص الفضي،
قميصان.
القميص الفضي لمتصدر ترتيب النقاط. هناك أيضا القميص الأبيض اللؤلؤي لمتصدر فئة الشباب. فريق BMC إذن يقطف ثمرة جهود دراجيه وأيضا فريقه التقني المساند. تمكن من خنق، إذا فينا نقول، مارك كافنديش والخروج بطريقة جيدة. هل تموضع كافنديش ضمن السبعة الأوائل أو العشرة الأوائل جيد أم لا؟ سنرى. يعني رأينا كيف أن كلوي هوسكينج بأول يومين كانت متصدرة طواف السيدات، ثم وقعت المشكلة بالمرحلة الثالثة. هنا ربما مارك كافنديش يحاول أن يبقى ضمن كوكبة الطليعة قدر الإمكان.
لقد تكلمنا عن التفخيخ، لقد نعم. فخخ فريق أوريكا. الانقسام المجموعة إلى 3 مجموعات هو دليل على أن هناك فريق فخخ وفريق هو الذي كان يصطاد.
ما هو السبيل للخروج من الفخ؟
هو ما قلته، هو التموضع. لو أن الفريق يتموضع بشكل جيد، فأي محاولة لكسر المجموعة هو يكون يقظ. الفريق يكون غير تموضعا جيدا، فلما تحصل الانسلالات فلا يتمكن. لما يلتفت ليلملم شمله ويجتمع، تكون اللي صار يعني ما يبقاش فيه وقت. وهو اللي شفنا اليوم على أنه المجموعة الثانية بدلت، وهذا قاله الأخ العربي، على أنه دقيقة ونصف ضد الرياح. يعني الفريق يبذل مجهود كبير، ولما وصل لاحظنا أن 3 انسلوا من جديد، ولم يستطع أي فريق لتتبعهم ولا اللحاق بهم. وأنا ما أسمي دائما على أنه المنسلون يكونون كالطريدة، وهناك الفريق الكبير للمجموعة يكون كالتنين. اليوم لم يتمكن التنين من التهام الطريدة. وفي اللغة التي يستعملها الدراجون يستعملون لغة الفأر والقط،
كات اند ماوس.
والقط اليوم لم يتمكن من الانقضاض على الفأر.
توم اند جيري يعني. على كل حال يعني سعيد مما نسمعه منك ومن خبراء هذه الرياضة، فيها الكثير من الاستراتيجيات. لكن هنا هل تعتقد أن لدى أوريكا الأسلحة أو الوسائل التي بإمكانهم من خلالها فك هذا الطوق الذي ضرب على مارك كافنديش؟ وبرأيك أنت لو كنت مدير الفريق ماذا تفعل في مرحلة يوم غد؟ ما فيها شيء لأن مرحلة قصيرة 14 كيلومتر، هي مرحلة سرعة، مرحلة استعراضية. إنما بالمرحلة الثالثة ماذا يمكن لك أن تفعل لو أنت كنت مدير الفريق؟
لا، أنا أتكلم عن مرحلة اليوم. بالنسبة لأوريكا كان الإلحاح والاستمرار في الانقضاض على القط أو على الطريدة، يعني حسب
نعم.
اختيارك.
نعم.
في هدر لقوة الفريق. وغدا ماذا ينتظرون؟ غدا ينتظرون سباق ضد الساعة للفرق. إذن ممكن لفريق أوريكا غدا، نحن لا نعلم كيف تحضر في إسبانيا، أن يسترجع الوقت الذي ضاع منه. يعني مش مشكل، المشكل كان هو الاستمرار في الخطأ. الخطأ حصل واللي صار. اللي أساسي هو الحفاظ على القوة الجماعية للفريق وعدم هدر يعني الطاقة النفسية والعصبية أكثر من الطاقة الجسدية.
في سباق الطريق رود ريسينج هناك الكرايتيريوم، هناك التايم ترايل أو كونتر لا مونتر، سباق ضد الساعة، وهناك السباق الكلاسيكي. ما هي خصائص السباق ضد الساعة وما هي فائدته؟
الفائدة منه هو أنه يمكننا من تحديد